Hello everybody, welcome to the Laurie Files. My story today is on the Rainbow Serpent. Happy Australia Day to everybody in Australia. Today is Australia Day. It will be celebrated tomorrow with a public holiday. I think the public holiday is more for people because they're going to be partying today. But before we go there, I just want to say that there's been a lot of conflict over the time with Australia Day. The Aboriginals feel that it's Invasion Day, and I understand that, and I just want to acknowledge that. My story today is the Rainbow Serpent, so it is Dreamtime, which is actually an Aboriginal story, how the world and how Australia became the place that it is. So you may have heard it before, but I just want to say that there's been a lot of conflict over the last few years with Aboriginals and the white people in Australia with Australia Day celebrations, people saying that it's disrespectful and whatnot. And I just want to say that I think we're at a time now where we all need to band together and learn from each other. You can't heal without forgiveness, and I think it's time that we all let go of what happened in the past, acknowledge what happened and learn from that, and just become more of a unit rather than fighting against each other. So before I start the story, I do have an acknowledgement vow that we say if we walk onto sacred ground or if we are in using Aboriginal stories or pictures or whatnot, just in out of respect. So you'll hear that first and then it'll be on to the story. We respect and honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders, past, present and future. We acknowledge the stories, traditions and living cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples on this land and commit to building a brighter future together. At the beginning of the Dreamtime, the earth was flat and dry and empty. There were no trees, no rivers, no animals and no grass. It was a dry and flat land. One day, Gorilla, the Rainbow Serpent, woke from his sleep and set off to find his tribe. He crossed Australia from east to west and north to south, stopping to listen for his people. He crossed every part of the dry, flat Australia, but found nothing. After searching for a long time, he grew tired and lay down to sleep. The land he lay down to sleep on was not the same land he had set out to search for his people on. As he had looked for his people, his big, long body had cut great gouges into the land. Gorilla lay in the sand alone until he decided to create more life in the world. He called, "Frogs, come out!" And the frogs rose out of the ground with their bellies full of water that they had stored. He tickled the frogs until the water burst from their mouth and filled the gorges in the land. These gorges made the rivers and the streams that we see today. As the water flowed over the land and the grass and the trees had begun to grow, it filled the land with colour. Now that there was grass to eat and water to drink, Gorilla woke all the other animals. The kookaburra laughed and the goanna walked, and the wombat climbed out of her burrow, all for the very first time. Some animals lived in the sea, swimming back and forth. Some animals lived in the sky, flying with their friends to distant places. Some animals lived in the land, and on the land they dug and they played happily in the sand. They were all happy, gathering food and water to bring back for their own tribes. The Rainbow Serpent made rules that all animals had to obey. He said all animals that obey the rules will be rewarded by becoming humans. The animals that disobey the rules will be punished. Some animals followed the rules and were rewarded, and they became humans, and other animals disobeyed the rules and they were turned into stone, and that is what the mountains were made from. One day it started to rain, and it rained like it had never rained before. Rain fell for days and days, and the world was becoming flooded with water. Two young men, Bill or the Rainbow Lorikeet brothers, had no shelter, and they came to the Rainbow Serpent. They asked for shelter from the rain. The Rainbow Serpent was hungry, and he tricked the young men. "I have no shelter, but you can hide in my mouth. You'll be safe from the rain in there." The young men climbed into Gorilla's mouth, and he closed it shut, swallowing both men. He soon realized that people would notice that the young men were missing, and they would come looking for them. He knew that they would find the track leading right into his mouth, and he didn't want to get caught, so he decided to hide in the only place that he knew he would be safe: the sky. He hid in the sky away from the people chasing him, and he saw their sadness at the loss of their two young men. He decided to try and make them happy again. So he turned his body into a big arc of beautiful colours. Now, every time, just after it rains, you can see the Rainbow Serpent sharing his beautiful colours with the people on the ground as his way of saying sorry for taking those Rainbow Lorikeet brothers.